Today we will start with the next topic, that is fruit and seed formation. So we had already seen in the last class that fruits are formed from the ripened ovary. That is, after fertilization the ovary develops into the fruit. Now coming to the seed is formed from the ovules. The ovules after fertilization develop into seed, and the seed will get coated by a hard cover. This hard covering is called as a seed coat. If you are opening this seed, that is, if we cut open the seed, the parts that we see in the seed are suppose I have taken a gram seed. Okay, suppose if I have taken a gram seed, if I cut open this gram seed, what parts I am going to see is that I can see a small part developing here and another part which is developing in the downward direction. So what are the parts of the seed? This large portion that is creamish in color, this portion will be called as cotyledons. The work of the cotyledons is to provide nutrition to the growing embryo. Now this is the growing embryo. This growing embryo also can be divided into two parts. That is, the portion which is at the top of the seed, that is called as plumule, and the part which is present at the bottom is called as the radicle. So this growing embryo has two parts, plumule and radicle. The plumule will develop into the shoot and radicle will develop into the root. This is the normal procedure which is being followed after the formation of the seed. And when this embryo comes out of the seed, we call this process as germination of the seed. This is a method of propagation in the plants. Now seeds also can be divided into two depending upon the number of cotyledons. For example, if I am taking a seed of gram, if I am taking a seed of beans or groundnut, I can see that I can open it into two equal halves. So two cotyledons I am getting. So the seeds which are having two cotyledons, that are called as dicot seeds. These are called as dicot seeds. Okay, and the plant which is seed, if it is having one cotyledon means that I am taking the seed of a maize. Okay, maize, you might have seen the structure of the maize, it looks like this. Whatever is the condition, you cannot open the seed. Okay, so this, if it is having one cotyledon, then we will be calling it as monocot. So these are the two classification of seeds based upon the number of cotyledons present in them. So depending upon the number of cotyledons present in the seeds also, we can classify the plants as dicots and monocots. Now next we have, that is fertilization. This is the next method which we need to study. Now fertilization, when we had learned fertilization, we had already seen that fertilization takes place in sexual reproduction and it can take place in both plants and animals. Now plants and animals, when we are talking about, we know that fertilization takes place when the male gamete fuses with the female gamete to produce a zygote. That is a fertilization method. Now fertilization also is divided into two types, that is internal and external fertilization. Two conditions that are essential for fertilization is, first is presence of male gamete, Second one is presence of female gamete. Okay, second is the presence of female gamete, and then the fusion of the two should take place. Presence of male and female gamete and fusion of these two should take place. Only then fertilization can take place. If fusion is not taking place, we cannot say that fertilization has taken place. Why? Because I got rid of it. So whenever a zygote is formed in human beings, this zygote is single cell. This single cell organism starts dividing into 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 like this. Okay, so this part in which you cannot differentiate the eyes, legs, the hands, etc. That you call it as an embryo. When you are able to differentiate the legs, eyes and other body parts in the embryo, we call that as fetus. So these are some of the terms which you should be familiar before you start with the sexual reproduction. Now, fertilization, as I told you, there are two types of fertilization, internal and external. In internal fertilization, the male gamete is deposited inside the body of the females. Okay, fusion of the egg and the sperm will take place to produce a zygote. That is, the deposition of the male gamete is taking place inside the female, and the development of the new individual or development of the zygote is also taking place inside the body of the females. When we come to this part, that is external fertilization, as we see in fish, frog, etc. In this we find what happens is that the female gametes, that is the eggs, and the male gamete, that is the sperms. Both the eggs and the sperms are laid inside the water. The eggs are covered with a jelly-like substance to prevent the damage of the eggs. The sperms, as we know, they are motile, so they will float in the surface of water. They will reach the eggs, and fertilization is going to take place in the water, that is outside the body of the male or the female. So that type of fertilization which takes place outside the body of the organism, we call it as external fertilization. Now in the next video we will see the male reproductive organ.